Hey guys, this is QUASAR Qua-NOLOGY. This is number 7. This one is a special one because we usually only have one guest. Today we have 3 with us. Why don't we start over here with the guest of honor. You've been on our talk show before, Comic Book Syndicate. Why don't you tell us who you are?
My name is Marshall Svalson, and I'm here with my daughter Luna and my son Montgomery,
Hi.
also known as Monty. So
Hi.
we're here as kind of newbies, even though we all have read comic books before, but this is our first time really doing something like this.
You've read comics when you were when you were a little kid. You read comics.
Yes, but I think we discussed what the kind of comics I read.
Magnus Robot Fighter.
I read Magnus Robot Fighter. I didn't find the writing that great. I thought the concept was great, and also I liked reading. And maybe you could tell me what these are called, like not episodic. They're almost like short story comics.
Yeah.
Where it's like really weird tales or weird world.
Yeah, anthology comics, you could say.
Is that what they're called?
Yeah, like
just where you never see it again. It's one story about an astronaut, whatever, and then that's done. And then
is this
so
like
forth.
EC comics from the 50s, like weird science?
Yes, that's right. Yes, that's right. Yeah, exactly.
Those
are the kind I like. It's because you don't invest too much in it, and if it stinks, you just turn the page. Right?
On to the next one, right?
On to the next story.
Okay, Luna, have you read any comics before?
Yes, I have.
Do you want to tell us which ones?
I've read a lot of Teen Titans Go comics.
Okay.
And I think I read one Batman comic. And that's it.
Great. Okay, awesome. What about you, Monty?
I've read a few DC comics, like a Catwoman comic. I've read lots of DC, like Martian Manhunter. Lots of that kind of stuff.
Okay, cool. So, have you guys ever heard of The Thing before?
Yes.
Yes,
How do you
many
guys,
times.
Where have you heard of him?
I've heard of him in movies and in shows, mostly because our dad loves to show us like old intros from shows when he was a kid, and we know a lot of characters like that. And yeah.
Okay, and
Well,
Monty?
I've seen him on lots of comic book covers, and I'm like, oh, I recognize him. Oh, there's the orange guy that looks like a brick.
Right, that's exactly right.
But then once I started reading Fantastic Four comics, I realized that he was called the Thing.
Yeah, and back in these days, he was one of the most popular Marvel characters, and that's why he had his own series. Marvel 2-in-1, The Thing, and he always had a different guest every month, okay? So this is number 67, and it is from, September 1980. When were you guys born?
I was born 2008 and he was born 2009.
Wow, so this is like ancient to you guys, right?
Yes.
No.
Okay.
Well, 1980 is when your mother was born.
Yeah.
Yeah, so your dad and I were both alive when this was published.
I was 10 years old.
Right, I was 4. So this was around when I started reading comics. This is my favorite era of comics. Have you guys read any of the really brand new comics, like from Marvel and DC?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. And do you notice there's a difference in style in the way that they're written and drawn?
Yes.
Yeah, lots of difference.
What's the biggest
old
difference?
one is it's like the graphics are a bit more like blurry, and the new ones are like very, how can I say this? The old ones are like papery, and the
Okay.
new ones are like,
The new ones
Are they
on
refined
shiny,
or they're
the new ones are on
better
shinier
quality?
paper.
For the newer ones, you can tell that they're drawn on computers, and for the old ones, you know that they're drawn by hand and not computers, because they didn't have stuff like that back then.
That's true. That's part of it. A lot of the artists do draw directly onto computers now with tablets.
You know
and
what's
stuff.
amazing?
Colored
Like
pencils.
looking back at, like, we used to get all these the comic books from the films before they
Okay.
came out, right? Like they'd release the Star Wars comics
Sure.
before the movie came
Before
out.
the movie came out, right?
But you saw some incredibly lazy art. You'd see the panel, it'd be like, oh, one really good panel, then a couple of really garbage panels,
True.
like almost like they threw it in there, like, I'm tired.
Sure.
Man, I'm getting tired. And and there were a few in this baby. There were a few panels in this comic that we reviewed there I was like, oh my God, what trash. But I forgave them. These are the things that make it enjoyable for me to even look at.
Okay.
And can I ask you a question concerning? Who's the guy that just recently? Stanley.
Stanley.
Did he have anything to do with this?
He was the editor. He
Okay.
probably just approved it.
Okay.
Actually, no. He at this point he wasn't involved at all. He was just the publisher.
Because I'm reading the Thing's dialogue. I only had visions of punching Stanley in the face. because I've seen interviews with him. And he's like, well, I tried to make it very contemporary, and so the Thing would say, hey, bub, do you have $1 you can lend me? Like, whatever, just like,
yeah, sure. His catchphrase is like,
garbage.
It's clobbering time.
Real hokey
Ever
garbage.
Blue-eyed Thing, yeah.
Yeah, just the Thing was like nonstop hokey, and I hate his character.
Remember
so
when
much.
your dad said not to talk too long? I think he's violating his own rule, right?
Okay,
Sorry. Okay, so let's talk about
when anger hits me.
Okay, so let's talk about the art for a minute, okay, guys? Do you guys have any notes about art in there?
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
so the art is by a guy named Ron Wilson. And it's inked by Dave's friend. Dave, I can't even read this. You talked about how the old comics are blurry. This is definitely a blurry reproduction of this comic.
Yeah, because like when I was reading the comic, like half the words were blurred out and they were faded.
It's kind of tough to read, but so let's talk. Okay, so Luna, you had some notes about the art.
Yes.
Okay.
I felt it was pretty good for the 1970s because that's when it came out, and it would as it gets better as it's more new.
Okay.
And for that time, I felt that it might have been pretty good.
So just to confirm for the listeners, you think the newer art is better?
Yes.
Overall, okay.
Yeah. Well, naturally.
The colors were very good.
Okay.
But I feel like some parts it looked like it was going out of the lines of the character. So if the Thing, he is more of an orange color, the orange can bleed out onto the paper and you can notice that.
Okay.
So that's what I thought for the color. And then I really liked how they used, sometimes whenever characters were in the dark, they would use darker colors for that. And then how when they were in lighter areas, they would use lighter colors for that stuff.
Okay, good point. Monty, do you have any notes about the art?
Well, my favorite part was the when Thor and that like giant robot thing defeated Hyperion in one of the panels. It showed like a little flashback, but in like the one of my least favorite panels. Oh yeah, art.
What's that?
So like I didn't like the part when Hyperion missing his cape for half the whole story.
He's missing his cape. Did that actually happen?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, just a minute. Do you know what page that was on?
I can't remember. It was like the same page as the Thor and a giant robot one.
Okay, just a minute. How come I can't find that in here?
Go back a bit.
Okay, go back.
This is just gonna...
I don't recall any Thor in there. I think they were
No,
talking.
like Thor and Hyperion were like with that giant robot thing.
Oh, when the robot grabbed him by the neck?
Yeah.
Yeah, or no, he was flying with the giant robot.
Yeah, that one.
Yeah, why is it not in your...
Did you read a different story?
No, I read that one.
No, this was all part of the same
I think
story.
it's
It was a
all
flashback.
it's all the way
go
at
back
the
to the
bottom.
other one. No.
It's at the bottom.
It's at
Oh,
the
it's at the bottom?
bottom.
Okay, here, let me just
Yeah,
do this.
you're not...
Okay.
Okay, this is just gonna take a bit long.
It's okay. We'll look at the notes. We'll take a note. Remember at 0905. Okay, we were looking here. Okay, 1 second here.
There it is.
There it is.
But that's not Thor.
No, like the one behind. That's the one behind it. He's missing his cape.
Okay. Let's see here. So this is a flashback. Now, you know what? I think what's happened is you can see this line here.
The robot grabbed his cape.
I think that is his cape. It's just they didn't color it in. That's what happened.
The colorist.
I can't even see it.
I know.
Do you see that line?
Yeah, I see it,
that line.
but you're right. Either the colorist didn't color it in, or it was some kind of to show kind of.
Which line?
No, but wait.
See, can you see that line right
See
there?
the swirly line?
That puny one?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I could see it.
And then over here, his
Somewhat.
cape is there. But in here, yeah, I think this is all supposed to be yellow.
I think the colorist didn't see it.
Yeah.
Right, that's what it is, yeah.
Yeah.
So that's your least favorite.
Yeah, it's my least
And what was your favorite, you
My
said?
favorite was the one with Thor and the giant robot, like battling Hyperion. No, that was the same page as
Oh, it's the same page. Okay, just a minute.
That's my favorite picture too, believe it or not.
Because,
Oh, right here. Okay,
yeah,
I'm
because they
sorry.
actually show...
I was wondering when Thor was... I don't remember Thor being in the story.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
because they like in like lots of other comics I read, they show like they don't like use other superheroes from like the same like era, but they don't use them from like different like let's say like Fantastic Four battling with the Avengers. That's not usually a thing because like let's say like Suicide Squad would take Justice League and fight. It's not like that in Marvel, so I don't really normally see that. So it's like it's kind of different, and I like that because when they say like this person and this person battled against Hyperion, they don't even do a flashback, and they did a flashback. For that.
Is that
So I
rare
like
just
that.
for Marvel
Actually,
to do something like this?
in these days, it was very common to show flashbacks and references to other stories and to have guest stars. Definitely.
But we would know that because we don't read these
Yeah.
things.
Right.
But that's my favorite picture too, man. Is that giant robot?
This?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. Because it's the
Resembles
most
Johnny
interesting. I
Sokol.
like the giant robot there, man.
My favorite is actually probably the splash page here. Just them shaking hands with each other. And throughout, I do think that, here's the thing with this, I'll just say briefly about the art and then you can go ahead about the art. I don't think it's spectacular. I don't think Ron Wilson's a spectacular artist, but I think he is good. I think the storytelling is all clear. I like the way on this page, for example, we have an over-the-shoulder shot, then we have a wide shot, then we have a different angle, and then over here we have another angle. And he's constantly moving you through the story, and that's why even when the art is not really, really good, I can still... That's why I actually think the older comics have better art than the newer ones. But it just depends on your preference. This is a great shot because, you know, the writer probably wrote, you know, the Thing is walking out of the cafeteria, but the artist decided to put in the extra detail of him having 2 trays of food with 2, you know, cups of milk and a sandwich hanging out his mouth. So that attention to detail is why I like the art. Marshall, tell us, what do you think of the art?
I mean, with all due respect, I'm making an obvious statement. This is for like 10-year-old kids that didn't have what we have today, like the entertainment factor. We don't have Netflix and 1,000 things.
Well, they had movies then and TV shows.
I know, but you had to access that was not as
what's
easy as it
specifically
is.
about
I'm
the
just saying it's sophomoric, right? It's like the cliche of this giant guy having to eat 20. I personally, this is one of my things that I can ramble on about for hours, but I'll try to make it 1 minute. I don't care about the superheroes like diets or that the fact that he is constipated or the fact that they got to eat lunch or I don't find it funny at all that the Thing is, you know, going up there and making a pig out of himself because he's a giant rock creature. But that was annoying to me that I had to read this.
But let me ask you a question, though.
So
this is my
banal.
This is my specific question. If you were doing a story, if you were the artist, and you had to draw an image of the Thing in a cafeteria, how would you distinguish him from other characters?
I would approach the editor and say, "Can we skip this part?"
You got to do your job. Think. Because you know that he's big, you know that he eats a lot.
I would probably take the sandwich out of his mouth, but I don't know his character.
Okay.
If he's a douche, sorry, pardon my French Canadian.
Okay.
Then he'd have a sandwich coming out of his mouth. But I'd suspect that he's a superhero and has responsibilities. Maybe he'd have 2 trays, but he'd be holding them in each in one hand. He wouldn't be a little more sophisticated.
But he's not. But he's supposed to be this Brooklyn brawler type. He's not sophisticated. He's like
I know, but how did he come about? See, I don't know his origin.
Well, he grew up. He was like a tough guy in Brooklyn, and his best friend was a nerd, and
he's a scientist, and somehow he turned him into a rock monster.
But he became a pilot, and Reed Richards became a scientist. They flew their rocket into space, got exposed to cosmic rays,
gamma rays,
and then they gained powers because of it, right?
Okay, and he became the Thing.
Though the Hulk got exposed to gamma rays, these guys got exposed to cosmic rays.
That explains a lot. He's an idiot.
He's
an idiot. He's a
working class.
He's a common
ruffian,
jackass. Like
he's a ruffian.
Like, hey, let's go. We're gonna watch the game and get drunk.
Well,
that kind of guy.
You could say that. Yeah.
Okay. Well, if I was the government, I'd put him away because he's dangerous.
Okay, so, but again, what I see in this, and we don't have to fix it on just one picture, but this shows his character.
Okay, now that I know, it makes more sense.
Oh, okay.
But now that I know that, it justifies my dislike for him. His character. Okay. I like the flamboyant little, that other guy. He's
Quasar?
Yeah, he's a little...
Yeah, he's my favorite.
He's a little...
Okay, so do you guys like in this story, did you like the Thing, or did you like Quasar, or did you like both? What do you think?
I liked the Thing a lot because he had a lot of story, and I didn't really know much about Quasar, so I thought the Thing was more my style than Quasar. Okay.
Monty?
I think the most interesting character out of in this comic, I think it was kind of Thundra, because apparently Thundra had left for her planet the end, they were they stole a projector from the a lab or something, and then it turned on self-destruct, and then she like went back to her planet.
Yeah, I found her interesting. I remembered her. I remember
you did?
because the story was basic, and it was like 1 + 1 + 1, and then you get your number 3. Whereas Thing's story, it's just like it became diluted. I mean, like 1 second he's talking about superhero things and otherworldly things, and no pun intended.
Okay.
And then grooving off to this girlfriend thing.
Yeah.
I was like, what is this?
That's great writing.
And any even children would realize that the Thing's days of dating are over the second he turns into a brick.
But hold on, you're forgetting something.
She's blind.
She's blind.
I don't care.
That's
She's
the
going to
whole
feel
point.
a
That's the
brick
whole
wall.
point.
She's making love to a mountain.
He's considered a monster, but Alicia loves him because she's blind. She can't see how hideous he is, right? That's the whole idea.
Hideous.
Well,
He's disgusting.
he thinks
How
he's
does she even
hideous.
kiss him? It's
Don't worry
cockamamie.
about that. What did you guys think about that? I think it's cool that he has a girlfriend that's blind?
Yeah, as long as she loves him for who he is, even if she doesn't know what he looks like.
You guys need
But-
to learn.
But I still did think that it was
I
a
have to
little
teach you guys
strange that
better
they.
to judge.
I still think that it was a little strange that they did add that scene where he was bringing red roses to a girl. Even in this, when he had superhero jobs that he needed to do, he was still working on this when he had other things that he needed
Don't
to
bring
work
home a
on.
rock monster ever.
Hey, Luna, I just want to ask you a question.
What?
Oh, wait, never mind. Actually.
Okay, so okay, how about this? Before I say anything else, would you guys like to discuss any of the notes that you have there?
Oh yeah, sure.
Sure.
Let Monty
Yeah.
go first.
More notes than I have. I have a few notes, but
Yeah.
not many.
I really thought like Hyperion's like waist thing that he wears around his waist.
Sure.
It looks like a corset. It's kind of flamboyant. So
Okay. I think it's cool, but whatever.
Well, see, I don't like his boots either.
You don't like his boots?
But I understand. But that was the way it was. I understand.
Yeah,
Like,
no.
like half the rock bands wore boots like that. But this was the 80s. So maybe go on, Monty, about whatever you were
No,
saying.
you can continue.
No, I was
That
saying
the-
about
that
his
was the
costume.
finish. That was
But
the
even for the
finish.
80s,
the
it's a
finish.
little, I don't know, kind of like out of style, man. Like for the 80s.
Well, here's the thing.
Look at his outfit. It's
Quasar's
terrible,
costume
actually.
is technically from the 50s.
Yeah.
So it is out of style.
Okay.
Hyperion, he is... Did he remind you guys of anyone? Of another superhero?
Yes,
Who did he
very
remind-
much.
Who reminded you
He
of?
reminded me of I forget his name, but he's that superhero. He's not in the Fantastic Four, but he used to wear a yellow cape and he was stretchy. Forget his name.
Who are you going to think of, Monty?
A yellow cape and he was stretchy.
Well,
More
the only
red
one I can
suit.
think of that's stretchy is like Mr. Fantastic. But
Not Mr. Fantastic. He was a very
You're thinking of Plastic Man?
Yeah.
That's no relation at
elastic, whatever his name was, but he
Plastic
kind of
Man.
looked like him. That's
He
what he
did.
reminded me of.
Plastic Man didn't have a cape, but...
all. You sure about that? Or Shazam?
Oh, Shazam, maybe?
yeah, that's
Captain
what I was
Marvel?
gonna say.
Shazam.
That's what I was
Sorry.
gonna say.
Wrong
Okay,
person.
okay. And
Show me this guy again.
Hyperion?
Yeah, Hyperion.
he definitely...
He's the one that was chasing
is
after
similar.
her, right?
Is similar to Captain Marvel or Shazam.
Like a Shazam,
but
Captain Marvel thing?
But the thing is what about Superman? Did he remind you guys of Superman at all?
No.
Really?
Yes, yeah.
Why would he remind you of Superman?
Because he was created as a Superman doppelganger.
Really?
He was.
Yeah. He was.
It was Marvel's.
Yeah.
Superman.
Answer
Marvel
to
created a team called the Squadron Supreme, and they had Hyperion, Nighthawk. Nighthawk was like Batman.
Is that anything like the Taco Bell Supreme?
No, nothing like that. No. And then they had a princess. Oh, I don't remember the rest of their names. I'm sorry, but there was a Wonder Woman. They all have like analogs to DC's Justice
Yeah.
League. But anyway, that's why like there's parts in here where he'll say things that sound something like Superman would say.
Oh
but
yeah,
I
yeah.
can't
Like I'm
remember.
faster. Like you
Then
got to
it's
know
faster
that
than a
there's
speeding
like,
bullet. Yeah, stuff like that. But anyway,
That was
What
kind
I've
of
always
really
wanted?
obvious.
You want to
There.
know what I've always wanted?
what's that?
You know, like the new like Batman guy that's like a hybrid with the Joker.
Is this in the Batman Who Laughs?
Yeah,
Okay.
that guy. I think that the concept on that's a bit weird, but what I think is they should do a crossover between DC and Marvel. I think they should make that into like either a movie or a comic book, because I've never seen that happen. Maybe they did do one. It's just
They have done it in the past. They've had them all meet before.
Did they really?
Results. Yeah,
They
Superman
did.
and Spider-Man and Hulk and Batman.
They've
Ugh.
done.
I'm not a big fan of mixing any superheroes together.
I kind of agree with you, but
Especially we talked about this before. The Hulk, especially the Hulk.
because he's so powerful.
No, because it's a Jekyll and Hyde scenario. There's a lone person.
Sure.
Once
The
again,
TV show. The
it could
TV
be a
show's the
woman
best.
or whatever, right? And to start throwing in other superheroes and turning the Hulk into just another kind of like stop the bad guy defeats the point and purpose of the story.
Sure.
There was a lot of psychological elements to the duality of the Hulk. Right? And just to say, okay, you're just going to be strong guy, throws things. Like,
I agree. I agree.
It's garbage. You know, sometimes they'll have these videos where they'll show Superman fighting the Hulk, which is ridiculous too. I mean, Superman it would be a nothing fight. It would be nothing. Because the Hulk is a human. And he can only defeat things. And, like, I know that they've turned him into something ridiculous from what he really was.
Sure.
But that's another thing, too. I don't want Batman fighting Superman fighting. I have no interest in this
I'm
kind
with
of
you on
thing.
that. I'm with you
You
on
know? Or even Superman versus that alien Predator or whatever.
Predator.
it was.
Yep.
Batman
which
versus
they
Predator,
did do.
yeah.
Okay, go ahead, Monty.
I kind of agree with my dad too. Why are superheroes fighting superheroes? Because I'm sure like lots of people know about Hulk fighting Iron Man. I don't get that. Why aren't they fighting like the villains instead of the heroes fighting heroes? I don't get that.
Sometimes in Marvel they have disagreements or misunderstandings, and then they fight because of that. Or they just have the Fantastic Four fight each other a lot, like Human Torch and the Thing.
Like,
They try to humanize them.
Yeah.
This is what they're trying to do. They're
trying to make
trying.
them like real
They're
people.
trying to make them fallible, and this is why I love Superman so much,
Like-
and this is why I hate those new movies that turn him into a human.
I
The
agree.
guy's an alien from outer space. He's extraordinary. He's not going to be stupid like a human being.
I agree.
And when you have a Batman, okay. And you have an intellectual like Bruce Wayne, like if even the TV show, he's an intellectual, he's smart, he drinks milk. You know what I mean? No, but
Yeah.
he knows
Yeah,
about
yeah.
health
Yeah,
and
okay.
fitness and what's right, the difference between right and wrong.
Yeah.
He's a moral human being. And then some guy goes, well, let's mix it up a bit. And not that, you know, like I said before, I'm not interested if James Bond is constipated. I don't care if his dad is an alcoholic. These are not my interests. This is not why I watch. If I want to watch it, I'll watch an Oprah production, right? Of like.
I know what you're saying. Like, even Pierce Brosnan said he wanted to get into like the inner pain of James Bond.
No, but
It's
why?
like, no, I agree with
he
you. It
doesn't.
matter.
James Bond's probably a psychopath or a sociopath, minimum. Minimum.
Okay.
Okay. He kills. He has no mercy. He's an super intelligent person, right? And I don't need to know what drives him.
Sure.
Because I could see what drives him.
Sure.
He's a freaking.
Yeah, you don't need to explain it.
Yeah, you don't need to
explore his
explain
backstory.
it. But these characters in here. Another thing I was a little upset about this because it's so fast. They're cramming so much in like what was it, 9 pages?
Yeah, that's why I love it. No, it's 22. That's why I love it.
But if you're not familiar with the characters, what the hell's going on? That's why I understood the story about the woman hero.
Thunder?
It was pretty basic. Even if I've never heard of these people before, they go to a science lab. There's this machine that opens up other dimensions. She needs to get to another dimension. She steals the machine, takes off. I get it. Right?
Sure.
That could easily be replaced with money. It could be replaced with a car. It could be
Simple.
replaced with a
Just a
person.
simple goal, yeah.
Right. It's a simple goal. Where this other stuff, it kind of it was too much for me.
Too much for
I
you.
could pay attention to it, but as soon as I started reading, I was like angry.
Okay.
Because it was just like there's a lot of dialogue going nowhere here.
Okay, we'll get to that in a minute. Okay, Luna, you haven't talked in a while. Let's talk about your notes here. What are some of your notes you want to talk about?
So, I wrote my favorite dialogue panels and stuff
Good.
that have really good writing. So,
Perfect.
I think that page 4, panel 4 had really good dialogue because it was funny and it had a very good use of words.
Okay.
Like the guy with the blonde hair, that dad's
Quasar.
He had a lot of good writing and words that he used very well. to explain what he was trying to say. And a bad dialogue for me was page 4, panel 6, because it didn't really have a lot of detail, and it was kind of bothering me because what they were saying was very short sentences, and they could have added a little bit more to that
Okay,
writing.
so just for people listening, I'm going to read Quasar's dialogue here. I see. That's a rather shocking revelation to think one of our most respected corporate lead, and then he gets cut off, and the thing says, "Lady, think you can keep your eyeballs from dropping into my malted? I'll settle for a couple of Cheerios instead." Or wait, no, sorry, a couple of cherries. Yeah, it's kind of blurry there. Is that the dialogue you were talking about from panel 4? Okay, and then the panel 6 you're talking about was, how's it? So then this is where Giant Man walks in. How's it hanging, Giant Sam? Not so good, I'm afraid, Grim. Pull up a chair if you can find one that fits. So you didn't like that one as much.
No, because they could have added a little bit more.
Okay.
But I'm surprised that they used that dialogue.
Why?
Because, as far as I know, the term "how's it hanging," it alludes to something.
I don't know if it necessarily does, but possibly.
Well, I mean, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, okay.
And the fact he's a giant man.
Okay, I never thought of that.
And you know, I don't know. To me that term has always been like.
How about when we're done, I'll Google
naughty.
it. I'll Google it and I'll see what it actually
Yeah.
means, because I don't know the origin of that.
But you know what when people say "how's it hanging"?
Yeah,
Right?
of course. Okay, Monty, did you have something?
So, I think the Thing is a bit, like, not very well mannered because he uses the word, "Hey, what's up, big guy?" Or, "Listen, bub, you're gonna give me back that thing," or whatever. He's more on the disrespectful side.
Okay.
Even if people are being nice to him, he's like, "Thanks for the advice, bub," or yeah.
He's really not that nice.
He's I think he is nice, but he's gruff.
Well, I admit, perhaps that's the whole idea of it, that he's a rock and he's rough and he's jagged. But I still don't. I think his character. I can't stand his character, and I just keep on thinking of Stan Lee in those interviews I've seen him in. Just want to strangle his neck.
I love Stan Lee.
Oh, I hate that guy.
One of the things I like about Stan Lee is he made all the characters completely different, with completely different speech patterns, different taglines.
Sure, I get that. I get his drift.
Okay.
I get it because he's a salesman. Hey,
yeah, that's
how about
true.
this convertible?
Yeah.
Like, what's his voice like? Hey kids, it's Stan Lee here.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, like I just
narrating those cartoons, awesome. I grew up with those; they were great.
Oh, he was narrating.
He narrated like the Spider-Man and the Hulk cartoons from the early '80s. He narrated them. Yeah,
the early '80s.
Yeah, like Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends.
Okay,
like,
I didn't see those.
Yeah, like he narrated those. Yeah,
I never saw those.
Okay.
I remember the ones from the '60s.
Yeah, those were. He didn't narrate those, but those were. Yeah, those. Were,
I love those.
Okay, you prefer those? Okay.
Yeah, hands down.
Really interesting.
Only because they simplified it to the point that any person could really just jump in and get it.
Those were almost panel for panel taken from the comics.
I know
you know that. Okay.
I know, and just even as little children, we saw them reuse the panel. I was like, it didn't bother us.
Yeah.
Because then Spider-Man came and they reused less panels.
Yeah.
You know.
Sure.
You know, great songs, great
color.
color.
Absolutely catchy music.
Yeah.
But okay, let's get back to this comic. Okay, so you guys have got a lot of notes to go over here, so I want to hear some more of them. You want to share some more with us, Luna?
Sure. When you asked us some of the questions that Dad showed us, you wanted us to answer, you said you wanted us to talk about like dated pop culture and fashion.
Right.
I talked to Dad about this. He said that something that was very dated was how the Thing was bringing red roses to his girlfriend.
Okay.
So that's very old-fashioned, cheesy.
So is that something people don't do anymore? I mean, I've never done it.
I've never done it.
Nobody really does it anymore.
But people that are, over 50 do it.
Sure.
Yeah.
Right?
Okay.
I think it's something that, well, I'm going to be 50 in a year.
Yeah, you've probably.
No, but I'm just saying that panel, him walking with red roses and walking, and I know people that are listening to this are going, well, what's wrong with bringing flower? There's nothing wrong with it. I would say that more modern approach to bringing flowers would be like, you know, a beautiful bouquet of wildflowers or something, but less. Roses are extremely.
They're very Valentine's Day.
Yeah, but I mean, they've gotten to a point where it's like the diamond ring and the red roses and the box of chocolates, right?
Yeah, it is cliche, and this is obviously 1980s, so it's understandable that he would do that.
Yeah, it's still pushing. It's still pushing
the boundaries.
But I didn't want you. I just gave you an example. Like, what did you find that as a very young person?
I found that you actually told me because I'm young and I don't really see many things, so.
Are those his words or your words?
His words.
No, but what were my words? The flowers.
Yeah, the
flowers are my words. I just said there's an example. Okay. But I'm saying, but what did you when you were reading this?
Any other dated fashion or traditions or
dialogue, for example?
Dialogue, yes.
Okay.
Very much of the dialogue because they're very old-fashioned. Like I've noticed how in a lot of comics they say like whenever they're gonna use like one of their special weapons or their powers, they're like, I'm gonna use my special thing, and it's very dated that they use that too because nobody ever uses that anymore in their newer comics or their movies. Nobody ever says that because it's very dated and they want to make it to new.
What do you mean? Like they'll pull they'll just shoot. They don't say I'm going to pull my zapper
I'll use
rays.
my quantum bands, which are powered by the energy of stars. They'll explain everything as they're doing it. Yeah. And I agree with you. That is ridiculous.
Yeah, I've always thought that it's taking up a lot of time when they could be already killing the villain.
What would Dirty Harry say? So if he pulled out his gun, he did because he says a big speech.
His is a little bit cooler, yeah.
But it's nevertheless dated.
Yeah, but I still think they could pull it off today.
45 Magnum.
I mean, only because it's already been done. But okay, Monty.
Monty, you got notes.
You remind me about the I'll use my quantum super ray thing. Like one time I was watching Batman Classic TV series on YouTube. And he was frozen, and he said, I'll use my super bat thermal underwear to get out of this.
Yes. Remember his bat shark repellent?
Yes.
Great stuff. I love that
That's
stuff.
incredible.
Yes.
But that was a great movie, and he punches the shark or kicks it.
Yeah.
The rubber shark.
And then remember they turn all the United Nations guys into powder, and at the end they bring them all back by rehydrating them. What a great movie.
But then he tries to kick them, and then they just disappear.
Yes, that's right. That's right.
Commodore Schmidlap.
Yeah, that's right.
It's Commodore Schmidlap ringing for
But you know what's
his
great?
tea.
Like, I know we're veering into oblivion here, but they had these little beakers, like they're puny beakers. So the art designers for this Batman movie, was it the only Batman movie?
Test tubes.
Because there was the TV show and then that was the movie.
There was the Batman movie with Adam West, right?
Right.
But they had these, like the powder, like was a big hill of the powder. Of the human beings being.
How did they fit into test tubes?
This is off now?
No, we're recording
okay.
still. Yeah.
No, so they were dehydrated.
Yeah, dehydrated.
Right?
Yeah.
So the powder, of the dehydration powder that the humans was a hill this big.
Sure.
But the art director gave them little beakers to put them in.
Okay.
And I'm like...
Brilliant?
Terrible.
Oh, okay.
No, because they're sweeping, at least have something that they're going to put in this container.
Sure.
Because they were struggling like crazy to put into the container.
Sure.
Which I guess is funny
well, it's
after
a comedy.
the fact.
It is. I
know, but I doubt that they meant that. As a director yourself, when you see that again, if you see it, you'll see that it's kind of like they made a joke in the moment, like how idiotic it was. That
of course,
I
think the actors knew how it was purposely.
Well, of course
idiotic,
not, but that's why what made that show great is it made fun of itself.
Right, exactly. Yes, Monty?
Yeah. How could you fit like a giant hill of powder into a small test tube like the size of 5 inches?
I know, but that's the Batman movie. But you have tons of notes, man. What are the other notes you
Read your
have?
notes.
Well,
Do you want me to say
This is good
something?
practice for school next week.
You got it.
What do your notes say?
the rest of my notes is just the summary.
Yeah, well, I'm interested actually.
Well, the summary is just the story, all over.
The summary, the plot line? Mm-hmm. Okay, how about this? I'll give a couple of my favorite moments of dialogue, and you guys tell me what you think, okay?
Yeah.
Do you guys like it when... Because you were talking, Luna, about how you don't like when superheroes explain their powers.
Yeah.
What about when superheroes do this? That's what I wanted them to think because I couldn't take them on. Take them on all at once. If I played it cool, they'd leave me alone. But there's more to the story, Red. And then he goes on to explain not long afterwards, and then he flashes back. Do you guys like when superheroes flash back and explain things?
Kind of. It kind of bothers me because what if they're in they're about to have a moment or they're in a moment where they're being chased by something and they start explaining stuff out of the blue, and it just gets annoying because they're using all of that time instead of dealing with what's going on. They're talking about something.
So you mean they're losing the action? If there's a moment where you're going like, this is going to be great, and all of a sudden they pause to give this big explanation.
Right.
That's what you're probably saying, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and when you said like he didn't know that I have these superpowers to get out of this thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's okay if they say, if it's like in their head that they're saying it in their head, but don't say it like, don't even say it whispering or out loud, because they'll hear you, they'll come and they'll like...
Well, they have different bubbles for those, right? Like for when people are thinking things.
Like think bubbles, yeah. Like, he never knew that I have these super rays that could get out of the super jail, kryptonite jail or something.
Well, there he was telling the other hero. But that made sense, because he's like, he's explaining something to his friend. But most of the time, they do, I think, put him in those think bubbles, right?
Ideally, they'd be in thought bubbles, not in dialogue. It's called exposition, right? It's when people over-explain things in a story. Okay, I know we're losing you guys here, so I'm going to do a couple more quick, okay?
Okay.
How about when they were talking about this machine here? I'll initiate the procedure. Doolittle, just allow me to program the coordinates into the computer. All right, we're ready now. And then the other guy says, please don't neglect to account for dimensional divergence in your calculations. Now, were you guys worried that he was going to not account for dimensional divergence in their calculations, or do you think that was a little bit too specific?
It was a little bit too specific. They could have he could have said that he's going to go and do it, and he went to go and do it, and they could have been talking about something else while he was doing it, and then he could have come back and said that he was finished.
Good point. Okay.
Like they don't have to say, let me just track the coordinates to B73, like whatever.
Yeah.
They could have just say, let me just plug it in or something, or let me just do this, and then they didn't have to say, let me plug in the coordinates to B67891.
But I could see where the writer was coming from, though. In a weird way, because they just by it's like, well, it's pseudoscience. We did something. I'm gonna have to say it. Okay?
Sure.
We did something in a $10 tale.
Oh, okay. Here we go.
And it was the Will of Frankenstein, and they had a machine.
Have you guys heard him talk about this show before? Has he mentioned it?
Many times.
Okay, I wasn't sure if you knew about it.
Yeah. No, but anyways, so it's fiction, and so the Frankenstein brothers discovered their father's machine that brings the monster back to life.
Right.
And we thought, well, we can't just have them all of a sudden pushing buttons and like...
Sure.
Even though we didn't put it in the dialogue, we actually came up with the concept of how is this thing going to work? And what does it do? And what does each button do? So when they were doing the process, we understood what it was doing. And then there was only one line that said, Christian, make sure that we made up for this a certain amount, because remember we fixed the generator, and so it's not going to be 6 volts, it'll be 20 volts.
Sure.
So when I read that line in that comic, it's almost like this writer says, you know what, I get that they know it's some kind of time travel thing, but I want them to know it's more than just push a button and it'll take you anywhere.
Like in Back to the Future, you just dial a little number.
You have to steer this thing, and you have to tell it where to go and where not to go. That's what I saw in this. It led nowhere, but I forgave it.
It was a detail that added to the realism, even though it was pseudoscience.
Even though it's ridiculous.
Even though it's ridiculous. Okay, now I'll give an example of what I think is bad dialogue, okay? Hyperion is... Thunder's running away on the rail track, and then Hyperion says... Oh, where is it? Wait a minute. Did I get the wrong... Oh, wait a minute. Did
the Superman line
Yeah,
there?
I thought it was the right... Let me just make sure here. Badass.
Yeah, that was insulting, though. They should have not done that.
Okay, I go for you in a big way, Thundra, and have since I first laid eyes on you back in Kowalski's gym a couple of weeks ago. I like a challenge, lady, and you're it. Anywhere you're going, I am too. Kind of strange. Not the best dialogue.
He's being sarcastic.
Yeah. No, I think he's actually in love with her. I think that's the way he talks.
No, there's no way. They're in the moment of action. He's chasing her down, and he's like being sarcastic. He's going like, "Hey, you know, I saw you in the gym. I really dug you." And he wants to catch her and get the machine back.
I think he's dead.
I think
serious.
he's being sarcastic.
Okay, if you say so.
Yeah.
Because he does.
My God, I hope so.
He follows her into the machine. That's how serious he is. Hold up, lady! Don't pull a disappearing neck without me. So I think he was serious. He goes into the other dimension.
Okay, well then he's ridiculous.
Yeah, I know he's ridiculous.
He doesn't go into the different dimension.
Yes, he does.
No,
he
look,
flies
he
right
disappears. Yeah, he disappears.
And
I
then,
kind
and
of
then the
find
thing
it-
is
No,
jealous.
I thought you meant. I thought you meant the Thing.
No, Hyperion.
I find it very strange that he was saying that in that moment.
Yes, as he's flying.
Yeah, he could have told her at a different time. He doesn't, and it's very weird dialogue. Even if it was okay for him to say that at that time, very weird choice of words.
Yes.
I disagree. I think you got. I don't. Even as he's going in, I didn't think of him like I'm in love with you and going and chasing after her. I saw him as I'm a superhero. I have a job to do, and I can't just let her get away with this.
Sure.
I don't know what she's up to and why she would do this.
Okay.
Right? And so that's why he went in. First of all, it's not like he has kids waiting at home or a job. He just flies right in there. It's like, I'm Superman. I'll go wherever the hell I want to go. And so I'm going to follow her into this dimension and see what's going on here. I'll figure my way out on,
Well, that's part of it, because I think he is from another dimension, technically. He's from I think he explains earlier, he's from a shrunken, microscopic world that no longer exists. Just like Superman's from Krypton, he's from a microscopic world.
Right.
So he's a man without a home, a man without a world.
Right. So for him, taking these risks aren't really risks. They're just, it's what the guy does.
Okay.
And like I said, when I saw him chasing her down, I was like, he's making that small talk, and you could even see it in like one of the latter Superman movies with Christopher Reeve. Let's say in Superman 4 or
Sure.
whatever the hell it was, where he would say something really cheesy as he's doing something super duper. Or
Sure.
Like saying his cheesy things, or the way Arnold Schwarzenegger says cheesy lines. And that's how I saw it. I didn't actually think that, oh my God, he's finally, after all this time, in the moment of like this idiotic moment, he's telling her like, oh, I really, I dig you, man. Like, can't you stop with the
I think
machine?
that's
We
what
could
it
have a
was,
chit chat.
But that's okay. Okay, so let's talk about, are there any other notes you guys want to talk about before we wrap up?
No.
You sure? Okay. So let's talk in general. What was your overall impression of this comic?
I liked it. It was pretty good because I don't really read that many comics, and this was a pretty good one for the amount of comics that I've already read in my life so far.
Okay.
So
Okay.
I haven't read that many. That's why.
So I think this comic was okay, but it was really cheesy too, because they go from a concept of superhero like things like the serpent crown
Right.
to dates with flowers and she's going out with another guy kind of type. Yeah, that's what I think. Overall, I didn't like it. I thought it was a piece of crap.
Okay. So, if you had the opportunity, would you read other comics like this then? Or not like this, but other comics from this time period?
Yes.
Okay, you would. Okay.
To understand this comic, I realized there was a comic before it. So
Yes.
I once I missed I accidentally skipped a page, so I had to go back, and then there was this other comic that I'm like, oh, that's why it started off without me understanding about anything. So to actually understand this comic, I have to read the one before that, and the one before that, I have to read the one before that. So it all starts in one comic.
Was this episodic?
Impossible to find.
Did they all link together?
Here's the thing, back in these days, they all did link together, but they could also all be read on their own.
Right.
It's not like you're watching Breaking Bad, where every episode continues into the next one. It's more like Star Trek, where there's little subplots that continue, but mostly it's standalone.
Right. Yeah, but I felt like as I started reading this, like I said, I got angry. There was a lot of dialogue that went nowhere. Then I felt like, oh dear God. Many times when you go to workplaces, some people, they'll have radios playing.
Sure.
And at our workplace, it's at least on my side of the shop, it's the policy is no music, 0.
Okay.
And the reason that is because somebody's garbage is somebody else's,
Sure.
treasure. And for some person, that one song could be like a nightmare, and another person loves that song. So who's it's better just not to play any songs. For me, reading this, it was almost like if this was a radio show, I would have turned it off right away. But I felt obligated. I'm gonna chisel through this, man. I'm gonna. It's like it was hard rock to chisel, and until we got to the point where there was the
Thunder?
time continuum,
Sure.
the thunder thing, where I go, okay, good, we escaped the thing. He's a
Okay.
piece of garbage. I can't stand the thing and his cutesy wootsy. Like, I know what they were trying to do. We're gonna make a real person here. We're gonna put a real dude in here. Like, he's a pain in the ass. He's he's like a cowboy, right? It's like, okay, think of the most obnoxious, musclehead goofball that you just, some guy you meet and he's like, oh, I can love beer, man, and we're gonna go to that game and we're gonna grill some steaks and we're gonna get drunk and do shots and we'll make him a superhero.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, I'm not interested in this guy. He doesn't. These people are simple and boring. So at least
I don't think
he's a bore. The Thing is a bore.
I love.
I mean, at least you love the Thing.
I love the Thing, of course.
How do you relate to this guy?
Because he's
Because he brought red roses.
no. Because not to say that I'm necessarily like him, but I like him as a character. I think he's a great character. I like his catchphrases.
Oh God,
I
they're
like
the worst.
his gruffness. Oh,
I
it's
want to.
clobbering time.
I hear his common man.
Yeah.
Dialogue. I
love
want
it.
to strangle Stan Lee because I just could imagine that. This is great dialogue.
Oh, and he was right.
He is such a common man.
Okay, what were you gonna say, Monty?
Like, when my dad told me about this podcast, he's like, hey, Monty, read this comic. Mike is holding, like, this podcast that you could be on. And I was like, sure, I'll work on that. In my mind, I was thinking, I just want to be on the podcast.
Not actually read the comic?
I don't really want to read this comic, but I'm like, oh, I'll do it anyways. So it's like bringing a horse to water and making it drink. It's like
Interesting.
it's
So
like,
you just want to talk.
It's like that comic book is the water. I'm not gonna drink it.
Well, Monty, the difference between you and me there is that I truly want to be surprised. Everybody thinks when I go see a hero movie or some kind of movie, oh, you're gonna hate it. You're just gonna come on and hate it. I go, no. I want to see it. And even if you go in with the mindset, it's going to suck, it's going to suck. And if it's good, it will. There's nothing that you can do to stop that from being good. And when I started reading this comic, I wanted it to be good. I wanted it to just pull me in right away. And you know what I mean? And it didn't. That's all. There were some aspects where it saved me a little bit where I go, oh, maybe I might start paying a little more attention. But I could not. I can't. The Thing is like the Thing's character, the way he's written here, and anything scientific, anything heroic, anything otherworldly is like it. Usually, fish out of water works, but this character, man, is such a dork. I cannot stand him.
Okay, so let me ask you guys.
Stand him.
So let me guys ask you a question. If we ever reviewed a comic that was not about the Thing, and it was by a different writer, would you ever want to come on again?
Yeah, of course.
Okay,
I mean-
Marshall.
Yeah, of course.
I mean, if you ever-
I want to be. But you never do those old comics, eh? The ones with the. No, I'm talking about like the ones I used to read.
Oh
like,
no, but we can talk about that.
That would
Like-
be really interesting because I'd like to.
We'll talk.
I'd like to get a hold of. Oh, you know what comics I started getting the kids? I don't know where they all go. Where the Golden Key, where they were the
Gold Key.
Comics that were novels, like novel,
Okay, yeah, like
comicizations.
Sure.
Of the novel.
Classic
Graphic
Illustrated.
novels.
Yeah,
But you're talking about Classic Illustrated, right? Well, they'll take a novel.
Yeah, it would be like Oliver Twist
Sure.
or whatever.
Tom Sawyer. I know I've got a few of those.
Where the heck are those, man?
The Richie Rich ones?
Those are
No, the ones like Robinson Crusoe.
I don't know what
like
you're talking
Tom
about.
Sawyer. We have a Gladstone.
Yeah, that's the book that Dad got me.
I'm talking about the comic books. Remember, we read Robinson Crusoe.
No.
No.
Who read Robinson Crusoe with me? The guy was like his ship. There was a shipwreck. He went on the island,
We read,
and he lived there
what
for
was
like
his name?
26 years.
David Copperfield. We read
I know.
David Copperfield.
Dad.
And also there was a Moby Dick.
No.
You guys don't remember because you're so young.
Okay.
I don't remember.
Never mind.
Yes,
I know
So
where they are
back
now
to
in the
the
garbage.
subject we were first talking about.
Thank you, Monty.
So, whenever, if you had a different comic than this, then yes, I would actually read it.
Okay.
If I would I would actually want to read it if it didn't have the thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good to know.
I'm looking for more DC because I love DC comics way more than Marvel. Like
Really?
the old Teen Titans Go, not Teen Titans Go, it's a new show, but Teen Titans and Batman or Thor. I like those comics more because
Thor's Marvel.
Thor's Marvel?
Yeah.
Yes, he is.
Oh,
That's okay though, but I mean,
those old ones because I know those ones and
Okay.
I know those characters more than I know Marvel characters.
gotcha. Okay.
Just one more thing.
One more thing from Monty.
What I wanted to say about DC, I just wanted to say, Marvel's better than it because Robin in DC, he came from this little boy. Oh golly, this happened. He's like Velma from Scooby-Doo. Oh jeepers. So then he turns from this little pipsqueak to this tough, hey, I'm gonna wave my staff at you. I'm gonna hit you and break your teeth out. He turned from this little weak pipsqueak to like a really strong guy. That's why they changed him a lot. That's why I like Marvel more than DC.
So that's why DC's not as good.
Yeah,
Yeah, because Monty, you used to love Robin.
I did. He used to be my favorite superhero.
On that note, we're gonna wrap it up. So thank you guys for joining us. We'd love to have you back again. I know that it was tough for your dad to read this comic. I know Monty, you thought it was a piece of crap, but Luna, it sounds like you somewhat enjoyed it, right?
Yeah, it was
Somewhat.
okay.
It was okay. Okay.
I
so
like the cover.
You like the cover.
it wasn't-
Okay.
I
wasn't
enjoy
like that.
comic book covers.
Yeah, it wasn't
Okay.
pain to read it. It was fine.
Okay, good to know. All right, well, thank you guys again. And so this has been QUASAR QUA-NOLOGY number 7. And we'll see you again next week. Thank you. Do you like the name? QUASAR QUA-NOLOGY? Do you get it?
No.
I
It's
like it.
It's like instead of saying QUASAR chronology, it's QUASAR QUA-NOLOGY.
Yeah, I like
Like,
it.
you know, because it's QUASAR QUA-NOLOGY.
I like it. Just it makes me kind of laugh.